When you enter the period from '94 to 2006, the 12-year period that you were leading UNAIDS, it's clear that you are in a race forward, and you're moving in a very, very fast pace, and you are scoring success. You're having a dramatic impact on HIV/AIDS and the international mobilizations. Talk a little bit about that period in your life, which is in some ways the kind of core political history around the transformation of the international approach to HIV/AIDS and your role in it.
Yeah, when I started with UNAIDS, it was actually 95. I said, okay, we need evidence base. Being a scientist, I said, let's start with that and have hard facts. How many people are infected? What does it cost? What would it cost to do something about it? Are there success stories? Is this actually a problem with a solution, or is this a hopeless cause? And so that was the first couple of years. But then I thought that would be enough. And when things didn't move at all, so often I called a kind of a nearly secret meeting, yes, of friends and also people who were critical of the AIDS effort. Yeah. And the conclusion there was we must go political. We must put AIDS on the agenda, what counts, and there are only two things in international politics that count. It's the economy and it's security. And so it was after about 5-6 years that we came really to the tipping point, which was 2000-2001. Al Gore, then Vice President Al Gore, chaired the first session of the UN Security Council, the first session of the millennium. Yes. And that was on AIDS in Africa. Right. And that for me was kind of a dream coming true. Right. And it opened so many doors. And it was with Ambassador Holbrooke, who, between Christmas and New Year, when everybody was eating turkey and so on, and Holbrooke and I and our colleagues, we were working very hard to make that a reality. What
were some of the hard lessons that you learned in this period in terms of politics and motivating people?
Well, yeah, first of all, as a scientist, I assumed that evidence and so leads to policy. And I learned that policy and politics are not driven by rational considerations. Sometimes they are. Yes. But there are other considerations, and I had to adapt to that. But I think I did that quite rapidly, and I spent a lot of time trying to understand the position of the people I had to, to bring on board. Right. And you do that in very different ways. I mean, in the U.S., it's lobbying, it's the the media, the whole the world here in Washington and in the country. In India, that's also the media. In China, it's the Communist Party. So in the end, I addressed the central party school of the Communist Party of China. I would never have dreamt to do that in my whole life. So being very flexible was very important to do that. Hard lessons also is you don't always win.
How do you look at the present period and the way forward?
Yeah, I think first of all, and we shouldn't forget, there are undoubtedly great achievements. I mean, 8 million people on antiretroviral therapy coming from, say, 200,000 10 years ago. Yes. It's remarkable. In international development, there's no precedent. However, there are still 2.5 million people who became infected with HIV last year, according to the latest UNAIDS report. So there's no way we can talk about success. Yes. And I think that we need to take a long-term view now. There will be one day, hopefully, an AIDS-free generation. I'm not sure which generation that will be. I think what we can achieve with the current tools, drugs, and behavior change, is bringing HIV down to a level where that not too many people are becoming infected, not many, and not many people or far less people will die. But I don't believe we can eliminate it without a vaccine, and maybe even a cure, but certainly a vaccine in terms of prevention.
Looking back in that period, what were the things that you wish you had done differently?
Prevention was always a big challenge. One, there is not a natural constituency for prevention on anything. Secondly, in the case of HIV prevention, you touch on very sensitive issues, touching drugs, sex. And then the scientific community was not always that helpful, because spending a lot of time fighting with each other, what works and what doesn't work and so on. And I wish I could have integrated and brought together the prevention community and policies much earlier into what we call today combination prevention.
Yes.
There was this desperate search, which continues, by the way, for the magic bullet.
Yeah.
The one thing, Dr. Piot, if you only do this,
right,
you stop this epidemic. I mean, I have a whole lot of correspondence about that.
This has been a wonderful and rich conversation. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you, Steve.